My name is Dr. Elizabeth Searing, and I'm an assistant professor in the program of public and nonprofit management in the F School. Prior to this, I was an assistant professor at the University at Albany in upstate New York for 5 years. And during that time, I also served as the director of a multi-college and public-facing institute called the Institute for Nonprofit Leadership and Community Development. My first 2 degrees are in economics, a bachelor's from Texas A&M University and a master's from Georgia State University. But then I pivoted to public policy for my PhD work, which was also from Georgia State University. And it was during my PhD work that I really started to integrate my research interests into what is my current focus, which is nonprofit organizations and the broader social economy. So up until this point, I have co-edited 2 books, authored or co-authored 21 different chapters, and have 15 different articles either published or forthcoming. So I really love this work, and I am profoundly motivated to continue doing it. So a little bit more about my research focus. My research focuses broadly on the finance and financial management of social economy organizations. So in the US specifically, this normally means 501c3 nonprofit organizations. Now, this is something that most of us probably touch in some way in everyday life, whether you are donating to nonprofit organizations, whether you are volunteering, or whether you're receiving services. We have a very, very broad and diverse nonprofit economy in the US. But in addition to nonprofit organizations, it also includes for-profit and low-profit social enterprises. Now, in other country contexts, you get even more kind of corporate forms. There are cooperatives, there are mutuals, and there are other specialized forms of social enterprise. And as I've started to branch into this kind of international and comparative work, I'm also becoming increasingly known for my comparative data skills, because I not only really enjoy the detail orientation that comes with accounting crosswalks and those kind of things, but I'm also really motivated by the deeper questions about the institutional and social norms that come along with these questions and are tied to things like financial and regulatory data. So there are 2 areas of research where I'm looking specifically for collaborators in my new UTD community. The first is linked to a recent National Science Foundation grant that I received with 2 co-authors. We are looking at the behavior and incentives surrounding in-kind donations and in-kind giving. And we're using experimental approaches. Now, the idea of experimental approaches in public administration and nonprofit management is relatively new, but I know it's not necessarily new in other domains such as economics and the neurosciences. So I'm very interested in conducting more of this type of research. Much of the study of nonprofit organizations to this point is organization level and is based on the behavior and preferences that are revealed mostly by year-end financial statements, which is fine. But as someone with a strong behavioral economics background, I really feel like this lens is incomplete. And so I'm looking forward to spending a little bit more of my research trajectory on the behaviors and preferences of decision-making in social economy organizations, rather than just relying on what are essentially the fossilized traces offered by financial statements and regulatory filings. Now, I'm still going to continue work in the fossilized traces because I do think that we can learn a lot, but I do think that the lens is incomplete, and so I'm looking to include more experimental work in the future. I'm also very interested in the social issues and organizations that are in my new home community. So I was raised in Texas, and I know that there are many scholars and professionals, and we've heard from many of them today, that are involved in all manner of ways about making life better for Texans. whether this is through education policy or immigration policy, social services, and almost all of these ways rely in some part on organizations involved in the social economy. So I'm very interested in contributing to both the body of academic research and practitioner best practices by collaborating with those with similar interests. So I'm very happy to be back home in Texas. And again, my name is Dr. Elizabeth Searing, and I look forward to having future conversations. Thank you.